Welcome back to the Goth Party. Today I'm going to go over Edgar Allan Poe's The Cask of Amontillado. It is number 3 on Goodreads' top 10 most popular Poe reads. As a high school student, I actually had The Cask of Amontillado as my number 1 favorite Poe work, so I was incredibly excited to come back to this now. I have to say it's kind of middle of the road. Some of the things that I admired about it still exist in the text. Spoilers for The Cask of Amontillado going forward. I liked that there's just this dude who had felt slighted by a friend and was gonna wall him up in his crypt. I loved how he was clever and conniving. I liked the whole plan that it seemed like he'd been thinking about it for a long time. And I kind of liked that the guy got away with it. I never really took The Cask of Amontillado as a ghost story or a scary story, but I did always like it as an interesting study. A little bit, I kind of feel like this making a devious plan, whether it's like to steal something or get revenge or whatever the reason the devious plan exists. The Cask of Amontillado is sort of like the foundation of that genre. And I've always been interested in clever characters who are planners, puzzle solvers, not necessarily fighters. And I'm always interested in seeing them be victorious over someone who's more physically able than they are. Sometimes it's nice just to have like a little petty revenge story that's successful. I still like The Cask of Amontillado. I don't think I'd put it at number 1 anymore. It's incredibly well constructed. It's got like a great beginning, middle, and end. It holds tension and pacing well. There was no part of this story where I was bored or I thought it was a slow start, and there was no part where I just thought it was dragging or he'd gone on too long. Poe's really showing a lot of his skill. He's really created a perfect blend of exposition and description to create atmosphere, as well as keeping the story moving. I appreciate both those elements quite a bit as someone who's usually a little bit impatient with too much description or exposition. Again, this is another story that doesn't have any supernatural elements, and I think number 3 or number 4 is probably where it's going to end up on my personal list. To me, The Cask of Amontillado barely squeaks by as gothic. The things that I would give it for gothic points is that it has a strong sense of place. The wine cellar and the masonry work and everything like that. I felt like I had a good grasp on the sense of place. I could picture it in my mind. I could feel the cold damp air. All of that felt very authentic. I'm going to go ahead and give it a focus on death. The main goal of our protagonist is to kill someone who's insulted him. So the whole righting a wrong, getting revenge, ending someone's life. And number 3 is going to be stressing emotions over plot. We know a lot about how Monticello feels. We know about his long plans. We have a lot of conversation back and forth detailing every mundane step while Monticello is working to do his larger plot. There's a lot of description, a lot of sound, temperature cues in this story. And I guess technically I could give him a 4th point for my list too, with horror elements. Even though I don't find this story scary, the whole concept of being buried alive is pretty terrifying, which is what's happening in The Cask of Amontillado. And I think there's a certain level of terror involved in this everyday stand-up guy who was insulted once and now he's going to kill someone in a terrifying way. And the way that he mostly seems to take pleasure in first this long plot and then actually carrying the plot out probably qualifies as the pleasurable terror element for characters steeping themselves in darker elements. So while The Cask of Amontillado is not like your traditional gothic haunted house melancholy story, it does have enough elements that I would qualify as a gothic story. But what do you guys think? Do you think The Cask of Amontillado is a gothic story? Have you read it? What did you think? Where would you place The Cask of Amontillado in your own personal Poe list? Let me know in those comments down below. And if you got this far, go ahead and give me a bottle of wine emoji, because this story could definitely go with a good red wine. I want to thank you guys for getting to the end, and as always, keep reading. Bye!